December 10th, 2019, a Conway Borough Council meeting. If everyone can please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Conway, please roll call, please.
Mr. Buchanan.
Here.
Mr. Burns. Mr. Pekovich.
Here.
Mr. Borough. Mrs. Mutchell.
Here.
Mrs. Connection.
Here.
Mr. Western.
Here.
Mayor Borough.
Here.
Thank you. Are there any members of the media in attendance? Real quick before we get to hear the public, wow, all of us council members are still smiling and being nice to each other. We have three council members that are outgoing, and I want to thank them for their hard work and commitment. We come to meetings twice a month, but there's lots of stuff that happens before the meetings, work and time put in that everybody doesn't see all the time. So I'd like to thank Tom, RJ, and Audrey. I'm going to forgo the formalities for this, so it seems a bit more personal. Also, on a personal note, I'd like to thank you guys. I started a little under 2 years ago. I was pretty naive to this stuff, all things council, and you guys helped guide me and get me to grow, and Audrey mostly helped keep me in line. So, and I would like to thank all of you for that, including RJ, who's not here, and your leadership will be missed. And twice a month, you can have your 3 to 5 minutes at the podium if you'd like. The nice thing is I can stop you guys now. So.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, next is to hear the public. This is a part of the meeting for borough residents to speak about the agenda or other borough issues. We'll keep it to a strict 3 to 5 minute time limit. If you'd like to speak, step to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and speak about your issue.
Roger Cole, 479 Amsel Ridge Road, Swickley. Couple questions. I'm a little bit new to your procedures here, but I guess in January you have a reorganization meeting and then you appoint your solicitor and your auditor and stuff like that again. Is that correct?
At this reorganization meeting, we'll just do the council officers, and then the at-will appointees will be done at the first regular council meeting.
Okay. So I would like to put something on. I think that you should put an MOU out for solicitor and for your auditor. Just, I don't know when their contracts are up, but when their contracts come up, just to look at it and see what kind of rate you're getting and what kind of, what you're getting for your money. Okay?
Yep. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Linda Stanley. I live on Winterset Road. And I understand that the Borough Council got an Act 14 letter regarding the pipeline that they want to put in to connect the two current gas well pads, the one up on Ridge Road Extension and the one down on Mason Road. And I don't know if you were considering replying to that as far as to the DEP. I noticed that the DEP's address wasn't even on this letter, but since I am a borough resident, and I would like Lisa Graves Mortucci to speak for me with some questions that she has regarding that gas line.
Yeah, borough residents only.
I would like to add that I did invite her. When we got the Act 14 letter, I reached out to her because she's very fortunate and she's here to educate us. So what happened last year that Steve White complained of doesn't happen again. And this is, we're on a time frame which is up on the 12th. So for our benefit, I reached out to her.
We've kept it straight for the last few months. We're borough residents only. So.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, sir. You got Casey Bowers to talk, and that's when Mr. Ascar said, yeah, that he would permit non-resident borough. But the fact is, I'm a council member. This is Greek to me. We need help. And if we don't reach out to somebody to at least educate us, why would you not want to? Why would
So
you
you
not
wouldn't
want?
reach out to your solicitor to educate you on an email that was, how did everyone know that we got this email?
Was it a secret?
Because
It
I
wasn't
got
a
it. I got it and I reached out to Lisa for
Oh,
more
okay.
information on it.
Okay.
That's how. So I'm not understanding what the problem is, why you wouldn't want to hear some information that would help our borough.
It's my understanding that if you're a resident, you can ask someone to speak for you if you don't feel comfortable addressing the issue.
All right, 3 to 5 minutes.
Lisa, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So the Act 14 notice letters are very, very important, and it's something that most communities are totally unaware of. Once you have an applicant, whoever it is, and there's a land disturbance issue, they have to apply to the state for their ESCGP, which is a earth disturbance, and in this case, also a GP5, a general permit 5, and a general permit 8. They have to notify, under regulation here in Pennsylvania, they have to notify the host municipality, the host county, and the adjacent municipality if it touches another adjacent municipality. It is your ticket to the seat at the regulatory table. It is your one time and one time only speak now or forever hold your peace on an issue. It is tied directly to land use. It is tied directly to your ordinance map and directly to your land use ordinances. The reason why the state requires this is they can't possibly know all of the land use ordinances in all of the boroughs and townships. So this is your seat at the table, and you get these notices when there's a new project or when there's a modified project. Now, for a well pad or any other infrastructure, you can get multiples. In fact, you're going to start to get inundated with these. So I think it's really great. Thank you for reaching out, and the citizens reached out to me as well, because this is something that if you understand it, it will make it easier for you to speak on behalf of your residents. So I'm not here pro or con, I'm here to tell you what the importance of these letters are. So in this situation, I looked at this letter. I've been doing this for 25 years. This Act 14 notice letter was missing a lot of information. The Act 14 notice letters are supposed to have a clause in there that says, should you be interested in viewing the entirety of the application, you can contact the Pennsylvania DEP, and they give an address and a contact person and a phone number. That was missing from this. In fact, this letter itself says in the opening paragraph that they're applying, and then in the end paragraph that they're not applying. So there's some confusion there. So all of these have time clocks that attach. Once you get this, which you got on November 13th, it started a time clock of 30 days, which the state is asking you to comment within 30 days, which will expire on the 12th. So the question is, without the full disclosure of the application, they're asking you, in my opinion, to give comment to the state on missing information. The only thing you got was a map with a black line on it that denotes the pathway, but it doesn't tell you anything like where is the project specifically to be located, what if any local roads will be impacted, what local parcels will be impacted, are those areas zoned for oil and gas development, what liabilities, if any, would exist. And it's kind of like if you're asked to buy a car or a house, you wouldn't buy that without getting all the information. This is something that will be a permanent piece of infrastructure in your community, and if the state is asking you to comment, I think it's within your right to say, we need some more information, right?
Isn't there a formal template that everybody should have to send out so it's
Yes.
consistent?
Well, they're supposed to be,
Okay.
but the companies don't often follow that. Like I've been tracking it. Some of them get it spot on, and others miss things. And so I've been actually working with the state to try to get them to adopt a mandatory template. We're not there yet.
And who specific, I don't have the letter in front of me, I apologize, but who was the initiator of the letter, the specific
It was
person?
the civil engineering consultants or civil environmental consultants on behalf of Penn Energy. And they can have an engineering firm or a representative do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But what it is This is your moment to talk about specific land use issues, and without that information, I'm concerned. So what I did was, I wrote a letter, a sample letter, if you are interested, because again, not telling you what to do, I don't live here, I can't do that, but because I've done it for so long, and I've spoken with the DEP, and I've kind of clarified, you know, the fact that you're not getting the information you need. So I wrote just a sample letter. If you're interested in sending it, great, that I think would be helpful. I have a copy of that. If I can give that to Randy. But if I can just quickly read portions of it, it will explain to you why I think that you're missing this important step. That I think that
Can I stop you, but did it not in that letter say this was a preliminary? This isn't even an application. This is a notification saying we are thinking of applying.
It says, under the requirements of Act 14, 67, 68, and 127 of the MPC, is to inform you that on behalf of Penn Energy Resources is applying to the State Department of Environmental Protection for authorization under the ESCGP 3 permit for the B46 to B15 pipeline project. So they are telling you they are applying. And when they apply, they're supposed to give you access either here in the municipality or through the DEP so that you can see the full application.
And they have in the past. That's why I think this is a preliminary thing, because normally when we've gotten these there's been several pipelines that have come through recently, Randy posts them on that wall out there for everybody to see. Am I correct? Have you not done that in the past?
I would have done that in the past. I didn't have this particular one posted.
Okay, but normally, once he gets that information from the DEP, they have been posted on that wall for over a month, where anybody could see them. So this is the first one.
But here's the thing, that posting it on the wall is very welcomed. I think that's a great idea, but you have to respond. They're asking you specifically to respond. In the letter, it says, you must respond within 30 days. They're asking you specifically the questions I just rattled off. Is this appropriate land use? Is this in keeping with your ordinances? They're asking you. That's what the Act 14 is asking.
And you also mentioned in the bottom paragraph there was some conflicting information about them not applying. Can you
So it
read
says, let's see here. They basically say that they just describe the project as the project will consist of construction of approximately 1.6 miles of natural gas pipeline. Approximately 18 acres will be disturbed during construction of the project. Enclosed is a copy of the overall site plan. This is all you got. This is it. If you wish to submit comments to the DEP, you must respond within 30 days to the DEP Office of Oil and Gas down in the Southwest Regional Office. If it says here, if you do not submit comments by the end of the comment period, PADEP will assume that there are no substantive conflicts and proceed with the normal application review process.
Right, and if I may interject here, that was confusing to me, and I emailed Randy about it and asked him to get further clarification. We all got a copy of that email, which Randy responded that Penn Energy responded to my inquiry on behalf of CEC, who's applying on Penn Energy's behalf for the pipeline permit. I'm told the notice we received is part of the application process and that the application has not been filed with DEP yet, but when it is, they will furnish a copy of the complete application. Looking closer at the notice, I see in the first paragraph that Penn Energy is applying to the PADEP, and in the last paragraph it states that if there are no substantive conflicts, they will proceed with the normal application review process. At this point, there's no application to review, and we have nothing to review. So that's what's confusing about the whole thing.
And here's the problem that I see for all of you, is that if you don't comment and they skip over you and they go to the full review process, you're out of the loop. You've lost your seat at the table. And I will tell you, I spoke with the permit people today at the DEP. And they are looking to see if they have an application, but there is some confusion all the way around. The DEP doesn't know if they've received a full application, that you don't know. It just seems to me like there's confusion. So what I did was I wrote a letter. It's just a sample. You are not obligated in any way. But it basically, I'll just read a portion of it. It just says, although we appreciate this notice letter, the information provided did not include the full application materials related to the proposed project, nor did the Act 14 municipal notification letter provide information on where we might obtain the application either. As of this writing, our borough remains concerned that we are being asked to submit comments on a project we know little to nothing about. We are unclear as to how or if any local roads or local parcels of land could be impacted. We are uncertain as to what liabilities, if any, exist for our community, and because we are without full disclosure about the project, we cannot say with certainty this proposed project meets our land use requirements. It goes on to basically say we respectfully request the DEP stop the time clock, not approve anything, have Penn Energy supply us, have the state help you get copies of the documents so that you can have your seat at the table before anything moves further. So I have this ready. When you communicate with the DEP, you have to do it with certified mail. I have the slips here, I have it noted on the letter, and I have the 2 emails of the appropriate people that are on standby waiting to hear from you.
So you're gonna send it to the address that's on the letter?
That is the address, but you needed the exact people because it's a huge agency. It'll get lost. If you see, they're supposed to tell you who to send it to and
You
include.
can't send it.
No.
It has to be on behalf of the board.
But I'm saying you can use this to write your own letter. But I'm trying to make it look. You only have until the citizens are going to comment. I'm helping the citizens comment. But if you want to comment, you only have tonight to even consider what do you want to do. Because you'll miss your window as of close of business on the 12th. You won't get another seat at that table on this project. So I'm just bringing this to your attention, hoping that you might want to at least submit a comment asking that the clock be stopped or that the permits not be approved, because you really can't, it's unfair, I think, for them to ask you to approve something that's sight unseen, and then they're going to give the full application to the DEP later. Well, then you're out of luck because you haven't had that opportunity to review it.
Did you give Randy the letter for us to review?
I
The other copies?
Yeah.
Could you send them down, Randy, please?
And again, I'm not telling you how to write it, I'm just giving you a sample of what might be helpful on your behalf. And I'll leave the original if you want. It's really up to you. But thank you for your time, and I do hope that you, I think it's important because this sets a standard that any applicant anywhere that comes into economy, I think they should know that you want to see the full application before you're asked to make any decisions.
Well, I appreciate your time and your effort and your education for us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for,
I'm sorry, the representative for Shoe, I don't know your name.
Sandy, I'm sorry, Sandy Melville.
Did you get a chance to review this letter that we got?
Did you send it to Scott? I personally did not. I don't know if did Scott get a copy? I don't
Pretty sure I
know.
did send it to him as well.
I mean, I can definitely look at it, because we send similar letters out. But I personally have not seen it.
he's not on the email for my inquiry and your response.
You look at this letter and that letter and give us a
Yes.
recommendation.
Yes.
We should go through the engineer for this as well.
Sure.
If I may interject for a second, Roger Cobalt again, I just got elected to council, I'll be on in January. I would personally, it doesn't hurt to send that letter out and for us to get information to be able to act upon this in a correct manner. To be able to rush through this right now, if you don't know this in the next 2 days, you're out of luck. Okay, so it's not a matter of, we're gonna check with this person, he's gonna get back tomorrow, next week, next month. It's not a big deal to send this letter out and let the people that are coming upon council make a rational decision in the future. I wanna know what's going on. I don't want people to come back to me later on and say, you didn't do X, Y, and Z, when we had the opportunity to do that.
It's the first we've seen this letter.
And I understand it,
And
but that letter was,
on staff.
I don't know when that letter was issued, but if it's a month old,
Well, this is the first we've seen this letter.
Okay.
That you want us to send on behalf of council.
right.
So I think it's only fair we get a chance to review it and our engineer gets
And I,
an
and I,
opportunity
and I agree, you
to
can,
review
you
it.
can read, but you can't sit back and review it for 3 days because you only have a time frame for the 13th.
I don't disagree with you at all.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Don City, 2741 Ridge Road Extension. I kind of agree with Mr. Cowell, but my objective is to, from what I'm understanding, if we at least comment on this December 13th guideline letter or this date, that we could at least try to stall that if we have a comment. Is that correct? If we put some kind of comment toward that, is that what you're saying?
It would tell the state that you want to engage on this.
And by doing that, that would
It would at least open
delay
up
it.
a line of communication, and it might, I don't know if it will delay it. Sometimes they're bound by certain things, but I think what it would do is it's risen to the level, at least when I spoke with the 2 staff members today, they know that this is something that there's expressed interest by the citizens and potentially the local government. It would at least get it some additional attention that it wouldn't otherwise get.
I have to say, I'm probably more personally involved because it's literally 5 doors down from me and little, and some other residents. So that's
the
the
well
only thing I
pad,
asked.
that's not the.
I thought that was the same one. Were you saying
The
between
line
Borough-
would run from probably our
It
way.
connects the 2 well pads.
from Ridge Road Extension?
And Ridge Extension.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's ours.
well, it'll probably go across the street through the Vincent.
Underneath
We don't
those,
know
yeah.
the streets. We don't know what streets.
We don't know where it's
Thank you.
going.
We don't know.
That's the problem. You can't tell by
I wasn't going to speak, but I feel very strongly.
State your name and address.
My name is Laurel Beitzinger. I'm a dual resident. I still own the home on 488 Amsler Ridge Road. And I moved to 554 Pioneer Lane in Liberty Hills, okay? And at prior council meetings, I explained why I moved, some of the reasons, okay? But what I'm concerned about is this particular thing that they've been talking about, the build-up now, the infrastructure. I was focused on the well pads that were going to be in my neighborhood and within 600 feet of some of the people that lived in Orchard Estates who were my neighbors and my sister. What I didn't realize, even though I've attended these meetings for many months, was the next phase after the well pads is the buildup of the infrastructure. I didn't know about that. And now I do as a result of this letter. Now there will be the massive infrastructure to tie in these well pads all together like a giant spider web. And they'll be in my neighborhood possibly, in my friends and relatives who still live on Amsler Ridge Road, and now in the future, those friends who live up on Friel Road. I understand that might be the next place they'll go. I'm concerned about all this, and I would like to see you tonight, since you don't know that much about it. I need you to think about the health, safety, and welfare of the people in this community. We know nothing about these pipelines that are going in, how far down. My sister leased. Does that mean they can come across her property? She was careful about making sure they couldn't be above her property. But does this mean they could be 7 feet under and sending these pipelines through? I would like to see also, many residents don't know about what's going on in our borough concerning this massive industry. And we have a quarterly newsletter. It's nice to see about the little equipment that we put up here for the children and the pickleball courts and things for recreation. But I think we need to know what's going on with this industry in our borough. Our most valuable assets are our homes. I think people need to know about this so that they can make decisions, informed decisions, whether they want to sell their homes, whether they want to stay in this community, because this industry can impact the value of the homes one way or the other. I would like to ask when this quarterly newsletter comes out that you do as you did when Walmart was going in a few years back. People knew about that. It was a great industry coming in here, a business. We need to know about this too, so people, the residents, can make informed decisions. So thank you.
Can I comment? I actually really don't have a problem with more information either. I think if everybody wants more information is enlightening. However, to make it out like there is some ongoing, all-encompassing pipelines have been run through this neighborhood. As a matter of fact, there is a large spider web of pipelines under the neighborhood, and they run to everyone's house who heats their house with natural gas or cooks with natural gas. So if you don't like pipelines, cut the one from the road to your house. I mean, what the heck?
Are you on council?
I'm the mayor of Economy.
I know, but I think this is a council meeting.
And
No,
I'm the
but
mayor
she's a
of-
resident too.
I'm a resident. I'm the mayor of Economy Borough. My name's Joanne Barato. And legally, I am fully permitted to comment during council meetings. You know why? Because I have the tie-breaking vote. If it would end up in a deadlock, I can tie-break a vote. So I have full authority to comment during council meetings. So thank you for your question, to clarify for anybody else who thinks I'm out of my jurisdiction. Thank you.
Again, I would like to interject. I think the mayor's out of line by saying she can comment anytime she wants to comment. She cannot. You take care of the police department and you take care of ordinances in the borough. That's your job. Your job, these 7 people up here, they run the borough. You're entitled to a tie vote break. I agree there. But you do not have the right to interject on every item that's
Actually,
brought
I
up.
suggest you read Title 8.
Unless you show me something in the law that I don't know. But I've been around the block a little bit too.
You can't come up 3 times.
Title 8 of the PA State Legislature.
Show me the law.
We're not
Show me the
arguing
law. That's all I
we're not
ask.
arguing back and
Show me
forth.
the law.
Well, I'm just telling you where to look it up. Title 8 under PA State Legislature.
You can-
Am I right?
Hi, Carol Pearson, 130 Amsel Road. I wanted to thank Ms. Pat for inviting Lisa in to give us some enlightenment and guidance on the whole pipelines, everything else. I think it's really important that, I know it's important for me, I don't understand something and I don't fully know all the facts. I think it's important for me, for the council, to bring in people that are in the field and know all the information. And I would ask too that I think as a resident, I should be able to know what land and what the roads are going to be impacted by whatever project's going on, whether the drilling or the pipelines, whatever. And there's been so much press. I think it's important that we step back and take a look at what's going on in the borough with all of the pipelines and drilling. There's been so much stuff lately about all of the health impacts. It's something that needs to be studied more, and we need to stop and call in the experts and study more before we move forward at all. And if we put off something for 30 days to study it and know the facts better, I think it's an important thing that we should do. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, no one else, we'll move on. There are no minutes to approve for last meeting. Yeah, can there vote to table the approval of the November 26th council meeting minutes?
Oh, I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting's tabled. Committee reports, finance?
Okay, everyone get a copy of the list of bills that we have on hand. I would like to add one to the list. It is for Nick Ashley, our police officer, for $217.96, his uniform allowance to be added to the list of bills. Also, I'd like to include in there that the stipends in regards to all the persons that are on the committees that get the annual stipends, which would be Planning Commission, zoning if they had any meetings all year long, the emergency management, the fire marshal. I'm not sure, Randy, did I miss anybody else, but it's the yearly stipends for those that need to be on the list of bills. So, if there's no questions, I'd like to make a motion, we pay the bills that have been reviewed and signed off by the appropriate department heads.
Is there a second to
I'll second that.
Any further discussion on the list of bills? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
The only other thing is I had, and I don't know if you're going to touch base on them, executive sessions, personnel.
Yeah, I have 4 of them.
Okay, you're probably the same thing, we'll take note when you get there.
Okay. Public Works, Mr. Burns is not here. Parks and Recreation.
Just one item to reiterate, we have Breakfast with Santa this coming Saturday, December 14th from 9 to 11 at the Social Hall on Colin Walrus Road. $5 per person, and kids under 2 are free. It's a nice event. If you have any young folks that would be interested, please join in. Also, I want to thank Mr. Westrom for wishing me the best. I've been on council for a little over 6 years. It's been a fun and interesting ride. Just wanted to take a minute to thank everybody, to thank all members of council, the Economy Borough employees, specifically Randy and Liz, the full police department and their support staff up there. Obviously, the Public Works Department, they've been a great help with a lot of the parks and recreation activity that we did. Mr. Thomas, Mayor Borough, Shoup Engineering, obviously, Mr. Askar, Mr. Kale when he was in. Just wanted to thank everybody and wish everybody the best moving forward, and also, and probably especially to the new council members. So enjoy, and everybody have a Merry Christmas. That's it.
Ordinance Committee.
I see on the agenda there was, under new business for ordinance 473, breezeway amendment. I spoke with Randy, who was pushing for this, and he said the planning commission, nothing came up from the planning commission to the ordinance committee. But then you sent an email to put it back on. That wasn't the proper protocol. It's supposed to come to the
Planning Commission's allowed to recommend ordinances to
Pardon me?
council.
Yeah, they can
Planning
recommend it to
Commission-
the ordinance committee, then recommend it to
Did the feral
council.
animal ordinance go through the ordinance committee?
Right, and
Did it?
I also said that was improper also. Correct. We need to have some kind of resolution to straighten out the proper protocol. Our resolution of how to conduct meetings says that motions regarding ordinances or resolutions, the member making the motion, not the planning commission. So with that said, I have no problem with the ordinance except in one respect. I think you were trying, and we agreed, to limit the size of the breezeway. But what happened now, what you did in the amendment, you defined breezeway. And the definition of breezeway that you put is a roofed outdoor passage between 2 or more structures. That I think is problematic because if you look up structures, they can say, well, that's a house. Just like what happened over on Golden Grove. 2 houses were built and said it was an attachment to the house. So I think that we should review that verbiage and go back to that.
But they put a distance.
Pardon me?
There's a distance.
Yeah, it's not a matter of the distance, it's the matter of what's allowed to be attached within 10 feet is the problem. And I'm very suspect and cautious because Jake Thomas told me after that happened on Golden Grove that he had 2 people in his office wanting to do the same thing.
And that's what we're eliminating, that's what Planning Commission was eliminating.
And I'm for that, but I don't think you're eliminating it when you're defining a breezeway as to connecting 2 structures. You could have an argument that.
What's the breezeway?
Pardon me? It's not a matter about the breezeway, it's what the breezeway is connecting, is 2 structures.
I think
Under
Pat just wants to
definition.
clarify that it should not be connecting 2 residential structures, is what you're
Right.
saying?
You need to, yeah.
But we
to
already
fend
have
off.
that in our borough code. 2 residences cannot be on one
Exactly.
parcel.
Exactly, so this verbiage exactly violates our zoning ordinance, which also that issue on Golden Road does, because it's 2 structures on 2 single-family homes on a residential lot. So I'm just trying to fend off any litigation down the road playing adversary here, I'd say, well, that's a structure, I can do it, they did it.
So what are you saying should be corrected in
Well,
this?
you don't need to define breezeway. You limited it to no more than 10 feet. You don't need to define what it's connecting. That's already in the ordinances, that only a garage can be connected to a breezeway, an apartment can't be on top of a garage, which is what happened over on Golden Grove.
Or we could just call it a roof outdoor passage.
Now, that's the breezeway.
I know, that's what I said.
So
That's
where
what I
in-
said.
so
In the
where in this-
definition,
Less than 10 feet.
we
So
could
where
take
in
out
this-
the, between two
Right.
structures, we could just call it a roofed outdoor passage.
Right.
So you're correcting the verbiage right now? to do it?
I'm not, I'm
What
just,
are you
that's my
correcting right now?
suggestion.
I'm correcting the fact that your definition of a breezeway expands more what you're trying to eliminate. So you shouldn't even, Brian had a good idea. You don't even have to define breezeway. You just want to limit it to no more than 10 feet. Our other ordinances
So what are
already
you gonna put
have.
down in the ordinance? You're gonna leave breezeway out of that verbiage?
No, it's in there. Our original ordinance said the only thing that can be attached to a breezeway is a garage. And then our garage ordinance says you can't have an apartment or an office on top of the garage.
Mrs. Musler, I'm trying to get to a middle ground. The only thing I suggested was on section 1, where it defines breezeway, leave everything in except for between 2 or more structures permitting pedestrian traffic. Call it a roof
Right.
outdoor passage.
Okay, well then correct it on here and do
The
it.
maximum length of the breezeway is to be, breezeway is to be 10 feet.
Right.
Okay, well then correct it here.
Right.
So I just
That's what I'm
wanted
saying.
clarification as well. So if somebody wanted a longer breezeway, and I think we discussed this, they could go to zoning hearing board and ask for a variance. Okay. Just so there's a remedy if somebody doesn't.
If I don't agree with one of your ordinances and I want to have a garage, say, put on my property that's too close to the lot line, I can go to the zoning hearing board and plead my case.
And ask
If
for
I have a
variance.
hardship, they're going to sit there and deny it or what have you, if I want to. There's always an avenue if you don't agree to build something or what have you. It's the zoning hearing board, correct? It would say, yes, you can, no, you can't by reading or, if you have to plead your hardship.
So there's got to be a compelling reason.
Right,
I'm not here
right.
to-
Because that's what my concern was. If somebody has a sloping backyard and their garage can't go there, but they really wanted a breezeway so they don't get wet bringing their groceries in. And the garage can't go there, but they have to put it over here, and now the breezeway has to be 15 feet. They could go to the zoning hearing board and plead their case. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
I mean, obviously, I'm not the solicitor for
Right.
zoning hearing, but
They have a
typically,
remedy.
the
They have to have
applicant
a
has to
hardship,
have
was a
a...
hardship, because they can't carry an umbrella, they carry their groceries in. Well, I don't think that was gonna fly, but
Yeah, well, I think it depends on how they present it. So I'm just saying
Right.
there's a remedy.
there's
if
always a remedy to everyone in the zoning hearing.
Okay.
There is a remedy, they have to apply for a variance.
Okay.
Have an application gets filled out, it gets advertised, and it would be a public hearing.
Right.
Okay, perfect.
Right, so before we spend money advertising, not reviewing this like we just did, I think that's a good resolution.
So we're gonna
Taking that
correct it,
verbiage out. Yeah,
just take the verbiage out and we can advertise it.
yeah, no problem.
So just so I understand that the definition of breezeway is going to be a roofed outdoor passage with a maximum length of a breezeway is 10 feet. I mean, that does need to be reworked. A roofed outdoor passage with a maximum length of 10 feet between structures.
Oh, no, a roofed outdoor passage between, a roofed outdoor passage permitting pedestrian traffic, the maximum length of the breezeway is 10 feet between, oh yeah, just 10 feet between, well, now we have that word structure again,
Just take the, just the maximum length of 10 feet.
is 10 feet, yeah.
So we wanna leave in.
A roofed outdoor passage with no more than a maximum length of 10 feet.
No, it's going to read, Audrey, a roofed outdoor passage permitting pedestrian traffic with a maximum length of 10 feet.
Okay.
That doesn't solve your problem.
Okay,
Well,
well,
my only question is
time
there-
out, please. As we said, we have the code enforcement officer here, And,
I didn't see him.
well, he's the one, we have this issue, so I would like to have him speak on behalf of.
The only thing I'm saying here is, my name's Jake Thomas, I'm code enforcement officer. The other thing I'm saying is with that ordinance, the reason why they got away with that over on Golden Grove, where Golden Grove Road was, you have to understand one thing in your ordinance. When you take on a piece of property, you have a home. You build a detached garage, and you now connect it with, let's say, the 10-foot breezeway from the home to the garage.
It's an addition.
That makes that all one structure then. Even though that's sitting here and your house is sitting there, that's allowed.
So
And that's why I'm saying I think you need a little bit more in that ordinance. If you don't want somebody living in that.
If you look at our other ordinances, the breezeway is only allowed to be connected to a garage.
Okay.
Which did not permit an apartment on top of it
Once
or an
you
office.
connect one building to the next with a breezeway, it's
now
considered one
one
structure.
structure.
So
And
even you're
somebody
saying
could
this is
live
a-
in it up above there, or even in the garage, according to your ordinance.
I
So
see
that's
what
what I'm
you're
saying, you have to look at a little bit more. I think you have to refine that a little bit more. Put a little bit more meat in there. If you don't want no one living where you put a breezeway in this section over here, then you have to word that a little bit different. That's all I have to say. Because it's still a gray area, and it's gonna be a gray area, because I have to deal with that every day.
Yeah,
And
and that
if it's
wasn't their
not
original
clear-
plans. Their plans were manipulated and altered by someone else, so don't go there. You don't want to go
That's
there.
Well, I don't know who altered whatever, but I'm just saying.
That's not the issue. We need to correct this. This has been waiting for how long? And every time it gets tabled, no one does.
I'm just saying, I think a little bit more needs to be put in there to clarify that a little bit better. That's all I'm saying. You do what you want, but
You have to clarify this ordinance or?
the
or a different
ordinance about the
ordinance?
structure with the separate building and you're tying it into the home, that's making that all one then. So I think you should put a little bit more in there saying that either people can't live in this other structure or whatever. It can only be used for garages or whatever. Even though you have a breezeway, that's considered one. I'm sorry, that's the way it is.
It's actually that way in the building codes as well,
Yes,
in the UCC codes.
right.
So that's part of our problem too. So in the UCC codes and also in the insurance codes, once a structure is connected to another structure by way of a breezeway, it's all one unit and is actually insured as one unit as
Yes,
well.
Yes, and we go off both of those, the UCC codes and our ordinances. They reflect one another.
Mr. Thomas, do you know what ordinance that is, that, the ordinance about connecting buildings, is it the same one or is it a different one?
It's the same, it's all in there.
So it's the same one.
Yeah, you could move on. Just-
Would this be a step in the right direction, Mr. Thomas?
What's that?
Would this be a step in the right direction?
Yes, sure.
I'd rather take a step than those steps.
So you'd like a motion to advertise this and then,
With the correction that we talked about.
well, I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
How's it worded? Could you just clarify for me, please?
Roof outdoor passage,
Permitting
permitting
pedestrian.
pedestrian traffic with a maximum length of 10 feet.
That's the definition of the breezeway.
A second.
Any further discussion on the motion? All in
Well, if
favor?
we're gonna, if he's gonna add anything to it or whatever, I don't know that we should advertise and pay for an advertisement until we really get it done.
I think we need to take a step in the right direction, and then that's gonna be a bigger change to a different part of the ordinance, so I think we need to
Okay.
take a step in the right direction instead of always tabling stuff until it's perfect, so we
It
need
never
to,
gets done.
Yeah, because we'll be talking about this when I'm done in council in 2 years when new people are coming. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Advertising passes. And we took out something from new business. Anything else, Ms. Kaminsky?
That's all I have.
Thank you. Yep. Public safety?
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. Property buildings. Personnel committee. When we adjourn the general session, I have 4 personnel issues to talk about in executive session, 2 public works personnel, and 2 borough office personnel issues to discuss with possible votes. That's all I have for personnel. Mayor Borough?
The monthly mayor's report, we patrolled 10,966 miles, we used 891 gallons of gas, we issued 27 traffic citations, 31 vehicle stops and warning, 6 non-traffic citations, and 24 criminal complaints filed. We had 14 alarm checks, 10 animal calls, 6 non-reportable accidents, 17 escorts, 5 harassment calls, lost and found 4, retail thefts 8, school resource officer 8, traffic complaints 7, vehicle stops total 53 for 505 service calls. So last month, I had the opportunity to preview the iMarksman. Remember the simulated shooting thing for the officers to train with their own handguns or handguns provided? It came in, the chief is setting it up, so I had an opportunity to preview it, and it is, here's what's really neat. It has to be over 100 preloaded, simulated scenes that they get. So all kinds of different, right. It's really interesting. But the chief can go around the borough, and he's made a few of them already, and he can take pictures or videos, like he's done it at our shooting range, he did it at the school, he did it at Walmart, where he can take pictures and make up his own scenario and put in his own whatever he wants and simulate it. So I think that's really good because it gives our guys the idea of a true feeling. So it was really interesting. So I know they all want to thank you for reaching out for that.
It's a good product.
It is a good product. I told you last week that our Ford Explorer Interceptor is supposed to be in hopefully before the end of the year. Not last week, but last meeting. So originally, when we authorized the purchase of the car, we were going to let C. Harper do the upfitting. They gave us a great price on the car, substantially lower than anyone else, and they were going to do the upfitting for us. I think the reason we were getting weird quotes from somebody who normally does the upfitting for us, who's IBIS Tech, is some of these parts, because this Ford Interceptor is all brand new and some of the parts weren't available. Well, IBIS Tech now is fully stocked with parts and is able to reduce our upfit cost by, hold on, I gotta figure it out here. $1,843. So we're just going to go ahead and let IBIS Tech do the upfit to save $1,843 from the borough. So Randy, when that, I'm sure Chief will give you a copy of these quotes to come in. So instead of letting C. Harper do that, we're just going to cut a check to them for the car and let IBIS Tech do the upfit. Did we get a quote? I'm sorry that I just am sort of springing this on you, Randy, but did we get a payoff quote on the insurance on the wrecked car?
No, I'm gonna call them tomorrow.
Okay, so as soon as we get a payoff quote or what the insurance company is gonna give us for the wrecked car, that'll be something for our new members coming in. We have a wrecked car, it's going to be totaled. I'm gonna try to speak to everybody that'll be on board. We would like to use that money towards the purchase of another Interceptor, but we'll cross that bridge when you guys get seated and know exactly what the payoff number is from the insurance company. And I have personnel item, contract, executive session. possible vote.
Did I expect that they give you a quote? You get a quote?
Yeah,
from them
he
already?
gave us a quote. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, I'd like to copy that.
Do we need a motion for that?
Sorry.
To switch from City Hartford to this IBIS, do we need a motion?
I don't think you do, because it's less than the amount that you guys have already, from what I understood from the mayor, it's a $1,200 savings.
1,800,
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Did we reach out to us, or did you reach out to them? IBIS.
We reached out to them because we know we're still denying another car, like the rental car now. So we reached out to him. He still doesn't have cars in either, but he has all the parts in to do the outfitting. So the good news is, if we can get this car in from C. Harper, they told us it's being shipped, it might be in transit. So here's the weird things with cars, as we know, as we tried to buy trucks for our business. Once a vehicle is put on a car hauler, a shipper, that car dealer loses total sight of that car. So all they know is it's shipped. Whether it's this Interceptor, whether it's a new, Chevy Cruze, or whether it's we're waiting for a Mercedes Sprinter van. Once it's put on a truck and says shipped, they lose all sight of that vehicle, which I find absolutely amazing. So they know it's been shipped, so we're just waiting. If we can get that car in by this week, Ibis Tech can have it to us either right before Christmas or right after Christmas. So it'd be nice to get that new car on the road before the end of the year. So we're pushing hard to get that done.
Anything else?
That's it.
Mr. Ascar?
I still have not had a return call from my multiple calls with Camet Animal Contract, so Animal Control. Still waiting for her revised agreement with the recommended changes that I provided her. And then we did get a date for the Walmart assessment appeal. The Honorable Judge Quetus will be holding that judicial pretrial conference at the end of January. So I'm anticipating that we'll receive some sort of case management schedule setting dates for discovery, depositions, appraisals, so on and so forth.
Is that a county jurisdiction? Is that a county judge?
Walmart filed the appeal. It's being heard here in Beaver County Courthouse,
Okay.
but it's the local school district, the borough, and the county that have all filed objections to their tax appeal. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anything from the engineer?
Other than the one item that you brought up about looking at the Act 14, so.
All right.
Oh, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You remember last week, because I forgot to ask it at the previous meeting, on Mary Reed Road about the risers for the manholes?
Yes.
Where it was just paved. Do you know if they're going to come back and do that by any chance?
Well, I know there were certain ones they could not because of the size. They come in 1-inch increments.
Oh.
And some of them were 3/4 of an inch instead of an inch.
Oh, geez. Okay.
I thought there was one that they were supposed to change.
Okay. I haven't been back down there.
I will verify that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
So when they paved Mary Reed, the sewer line runs through the middle of Mary Reed Road, and they usually put risers on those manhole covers to make it even with the road. I went down Mary Reed Road a couple weeks ago, and I was like, what the heck? It's just paved, so I was looking for the risers on there.
Okay, so moving on to old business. Is there a motion to advertise all the 2020 meetings for council, the recreation board, sewer authority, planning commission, zoning hearing board, reorganization meeting on January 6th?
Would you like a motion?
That's what I asked.
I'll make a motion.
All right,
And I would be honored to second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussions on the meeting advertisements? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Fekovich and Mr. Kunkel, have you have either of you heard from Mr. Hirschberger or Mrs. Kreese about reappointing to the rec board?
I've been in dialogue with both, but we haven't talked about that particular issue we were talking about this weekend. Mr. Kunkel, did you hear anything regarding that?
No, I reached out again, but haven't heard anything.
We'll wait to see what they want to do. Next on the agenda.
Oh, wait, old business. I did get a copy of a list of the 162 Academy residents that do not participate in our garbage. You're gonna, when you have time, Randy, reach out to them and verify why, because a couple of these, when I'm looking here, is I know them, and there's no way they're taking their trash anywhere else but somewhere on their property or not at all. So some of them, yeah, they run businesses, it's understandable. Some, no. And there's gonna be some that I think on the extension that I might see garbage sitting out in front of their house, that they're getting collected and we're not paying. So if you could reach out just to verify that, you know, hey, I only have till the end of the year, but it's 160 that are causing everyone's else rate. I always said everyone mandatory, that everyone ought to pay for it, you know? It is what it is, but, okay.
Thanks. Next item on old business is the MG SoftNet new computers versus software update. Everybody have a chance to review. Obviously, the software update is substantially cheaper than new computers.
Desperate that Donald Trump, but I have so many people.
Sorry.
Came
one for ourselves.
So the difference, the new computers would be at a maximum of $3,840, $3,840, you can't talk. And the updating the existing computers would be a maximum of $675. Someone like to make a motion for either the updating the old or buying new? Well, we need the update, so whenever we need to get the update, we want to inquire on how much it would be just to get one, so just to see what the price is. Energy SoftNet.
Was the what was the total amount on that?
The labor was variable, so I used a high on both of them, so we'd have a maximum. It was, for new was $3,840, and for updated it was $675.
And how old are the ones that we gonna update?
Mr. Kunkel.
And about how old are they?
Well, they're not, I don't think they're all 3 or 4, or now there's 5 of them are the same age, but I would say at least more than one of them are more than 5 years old.
Wow.
And your recommendation, Mr. Kunkel?
What, I would say at minimum do the update.
Really?
Well, obviously, we have to do the update at the minimum, but
I think we could plan, you know, not, obviously not for next year's budget, but if we did the updates now, we could plan to replace them in another 2 or 3 years. I mean, they said that would be realistic, 2 to 4 years.
and they feel comfortable that the system would be adequate with upgrade only.
I think with what we use it for.
Okay. I'll make a motion to do the upgrade.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Part-time secretary will be discussed after executive session. Joint MS4 advertisement. In our packages, there was a our yearly letter from the Beaver County Planning Commission to be on their multi-listing advertisement. Is there a motion to approve that?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Before we go into executive session, would anyone like to make a motion that we send a letter to the DEP requesting additional information? We could revise this letter, we could use this letter, but just a letter, because we don't meet again before the deadline in 2 or 3 days, so
I like that motion.
we should.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
The only thing that I would add, I did read this letter. It says, there's a statement, additionally calls to Penn Energy by borough staff did not yield the requested documentation either. I don't know if that's a correct or inaccurate statement, but if you're gonna use this letter, I wanna make sure that council was not including false information, because I don't know who on borough staff would have reached out to Penn Energy.
It was me, but I'll double check, the verbiage.
Yeah, I have the email. I reached out to Randy when I read the Act 14 letter and said, where's the plans that those thing is attached? So he then reached out to them and sent us the map with one little squiggly line that didn't tell us anything, and then responded with that, so.
Do we need that statement? Because if they did respond and we didn't follow up and ask for more, the onus is on us. So, I think if this letter came from our borough engineer, I think that that would probably suffice with whatever technical information that you guys would want to build into a letter similar to this.
You have a copy?
I have a copy of this.
Okay.
I just need a copy of the one that they sent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I may do that before.
And are you saying to remove that line, Joe?
Well, I mean, to put the letter together, I was just reviewing it during the meeting, and that kind of sent up a red flag to me, because I was unaware if anybody in Borough Council actually reached out to Penn Energy. So if we are gonna send this letter or a similar letter, before we make a statement like that, I just wanna make sure that
It's concrete. That
and the
somebody
ball's
actually
not
did
in our
it.
court to reach
Right.
back out to Penn Energy.
Okay, so maybe omitting it wouldn't be a bad.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would leave it up to Scott and his firm to draft a letter. I think that they could put a letter together which would suffice to get DEP to maybe pull the reins back and give us more opportunity to.
Whether to draft it tomorrow, do a group email so you're on it to see it, and then get it out ASAP?
Yeah, obviously, this is kind of sensitive. We
Obviously.
can't let
Yes,
it slide.
obviously.
Because we would actually, you would sort of want it sent out no later than end of day tomorrow.
Yes.
Did they go by postmark when they measured date or reception of the letter?
So if you send it by email, it would be stamped by 11:59 of that day, so
Okay.
before it turns to the next day at midnight. Certified mail will be the day that, and the certified mail can come in later, but that goes into the official file.
Oh, so you're saying do email and the certified?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
But
you.
what I was saying, when you do an email, once she does it,
Send
the
it to
council
everybody.
email, Joe email, so everyone has it on file on record too.
Right.
Did everybody hear that about sending 2 copies, do an email copy, and also the certified letter to follow
Yes.
up? Okay, thank you.
All right, so everyone check their emails tomorrow, so if you have an opportunity to revise or change, or forever hold your peace.
Can I bring up one thing that I just remembered?
Since it's your last meeting.
Rand, I know we discussed about the house going down on Phillip Street, that was tapping into the water line in Baden. Remember that house? Remember that house? Was a letter sent out down to Baden? There was supposed to be an agreement between, was it Economy, Baden, and
Yeah, we took care of that.
that was already taken care of? Because it hasn't been, funny how you would build a house before you got the permission from the state to bore under the road. It hasn't been connected, and that's gonna have to be connected underneath the road.
Wait, was that the house that I worked with the solicitor?
For the
Yeah.
municipal.
But we were
Is it
supposed,
Phillip Street?
yeah, Phil Street Extension.
Well, I don't know if they had, if they're gonna bore under PennDOT Road,
Yeah,
we just got permission from
but she's,
Ambridge Water that they're allowed to access a different service and not
right.
their service.
I didn't know if the letter was done and it went down. to
Yeah, we
Baden.
already took care of that prior to the last meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we received a letter from Ambridge Municipal or Water giving us the authority to do it.
Okay.
I provided it to Randy.
Just double check it.
I'd like to say one last final thing before the meeting's over here. Thanks Tom and Audrey for their input and everything they've done on council, and even RJ, he hasn't been here for a while, but just appreciate everything you've done. Got a lot of good information. Audrey, you've just amazed me the amount of things you can come up with, and the information that you have, you did a great job. Each of you did a great
Well,
job.
I thank you. I thank you the
Gary.
opportunity to be on. And I, wish the people coming on the best. And everyone have a Merry Christmas.
And I thank you for your service also.
Thank you, guys.
All right, with that, is there a motion to go into executive session to talk about 4 personnel issues and the mayor's executive session contract issue with possible votes on all the issues?
I'll make that motion.
I'll make that motion. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll second it.
There you go. Maybe our last motion ever.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.